3 more jail escapes have just taken place. Folks, this escape season has been one of the wildest. I can't remember a year prior where there's been this many damn escapes as the weather begins to change and the summertime approaches. I don't know exactly why around this time every year escapes seem to rise, but again, this particular year is definitely one for the record books. In each of these latest escapes, the prisoners got out. They got away. But the one thing that they all have in common is they have all been reapprehended. They were not out on the run for very long at all, and each one of them is now facing additional charges. Let's go ahead and start with one that may sound a little familiar. Back down in Louisiana, we have had yet another escape in Tangapoa Parish. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that. I know that I probably am, and I've caught hell in the comments section every time that I try to pronounce this particular parish. Another work release prisoner walking off of the job saying, "This shit is for the birds. Catch me if you can." And unfortunately, in this guy's case, they did. Work release inmate back in custody after escaping job site in Tangapoa Parish. Somebody please sound that out for me down in the comments section. We've had multiple prisoners escaping from work release programs, and each time that we hear of a story like this, I always wonder, why? Why would you risk tricking up the best, easiest, graviest time that you could ever serve, and knowing that if and when they catch you, and more likely it's just when, and oftentimes it's pretty quickly after you attempt to escape. Why would you risk tricking up the graviest time you could ever serve, knowing that when they catch you, your ass is going to be serving hard time and additional time when they do? Tickfall, Louisiana. The Tangapoa Parish Sheriff's Office has returned a work release inmate to custody who walked off a job site on Thursday, June 5th. Authorities say 42-year-old Donald Ray Wilson left the job site around noon in the 51,000 block of Highway 51 in Tickfall. At the time, he was last seen on foot heading north wearing gray sweatpants, Nike shoes, and a black and gray jacket. You out there on work release and you ain't even got a ride waiting on you? Situation like this makes me think he's probably arguing with his old lady, with his girlfriend, with his significant other. Maybe it was love that made this guy walk off the job site. I've been doing some research because one video that I want to share with you guys very soon is exactly how much time an escape charge carries, because there are so many different facets to escapes. Now, the information that I've been running across is specific to my state, Virginia. I would imagine that it is similar in other states. For example, and this is the actual code from the state of Virginia, escape from jail or custody by force or violence without setting fire to jail. Now, this is very specific. If you escape by force or violence, but you don't set a fire, you're guilty of a Class 6 felony. A Class 6 felony in the state of Virginia carries 1 to 5 years. That time is tacked on to the end of your sentence. They do not run it concurrent. It is consecutive, meaning you got to serve whatever time you're locked up for first before that 1 to 5 can then begin. There's a lot of different facets to escapes in Virginia, things that can be tacked on. Things such as covering a security camera in a correctional facility. This is a charge in itself. Any person who intentionally covers, removes, damages, renders inoperable, or otherwise obscures a security camera without the permission of the sheriff, jail superintendent, warden is guilty of a Class 1 misdemeanor. So just covering up the camera is a Class 1 misdemeanor that carries up to 12 months in jail. But if you damage that camera, cut the phone lines, cut the wires, render it inoperable, another Class 6 felony. Escaping without force or violence or setting a fire to a jail. Now, this is going to be similar to this guy down in Tangapoa. If you're serving time for a misdemeanor, the escape is only a misdemeanor. If you're serving time for a felony, the escape is a Class 6 felony. Again, 1 to 5, or if it's a misdemeanor, up to an additional 12 months added onto your sentence. But if you escape and you set a fire to do so, that is a Class 4 felony. And a Class 4 felony is an additional 2 to 10 years in prison. Just wanted to share that quick little information with you guys in terms of potential additional time that an escape charge could carry. This guy Wilson down in Louisiana was placed back in custody around 1:30 Friday morning, June the 6th. Again, keep in mind he escaped around 3 p.m. the day prior. Wasn't even out for 24 hours before they caught this guy again. Look at this picture right here with the sheriff's office. All smiles. Buddy got the big-ass crowbar right there. And yeah, man, we got this dude back in custody. We feel like SEAL Team 6 out here getting the job done. Wilson, a convicted felon from Tangapoa, was serving time for a parole violation related to firearms possession. Man, you had the sweetest time, again, out there on work release, and you just tricked this up. You're going to be doing some hard time from here on out. He was participating in a Department of Corrections program that allows selected inmates to work outside jail facilities with approved partner businesses, and probably was making some decent money. Hopefully you was. Living high on the hog, able to go to commissary. Why trick that up? Got a picture of him right here just walking off the job site. Yep. He said, forget that jazz. 12 hours of freedom is going to be worth an additional 1 year, probably added on to his sentence for this escape. Let's go to Lafayette County, Mississippi. Inmate recaptured after brief escape during trash detail. This particular story reminds me of when I was a trustee inside of a particular jail and we had to take out the trash. Without even reading this story or knowing anything about it, I want to say this. When they let your ass up outside of the jail and you haven't been outside in a while, you're going to immediately think about running. It's just human nature. Human nature is to run, evade, escape, capture. Nobody wants to be captured for nothing. You know, when you think about why so many escapes are taking place, what's the rationale, what's the psychology behind this? Sometimes there really just isn't. Sometimes it's just air and opportunity that sparks the situation to occur. When I was in jail and we were taking out the trash, there were blind spots, there was opportunity, there was a short distance from the loading dock to the fence line. It was possible, it was plausible, and it was certainly thought of, at least by me, and I'm sure by countless others as well. I'm sure there's been people at that particular jail who have just up and tried to escape in that same scenario. So something like that could be the case with some of these stories that we're hearing about as of late. Lafayette County, Mississippi witnessed a temporary breach in its jail system when inmate Lorenzo Shaw briefly escaped while on trash detail. According to Action 5 News, Shaw, who was initially incarcerated for nonviolent offenses, managed to evade the jail work detail, prompting an immediate search by deputies. Geez, I wonder how long this guy was on the run for. Probably not very long at all. The incident unfolded on June the 2nd with Shaw taking his leave from the work detail along CR 104. And despite the sudden disruption and potential danger, the deputy in charge was able to secure the other inmates and alert backup as reported by the news. Shaw's escape ended after a mere hour when authorities successfully recaptured him. I gotta believe this is definitely one of the briefest escape runs that we've heard about lately. The sheriff's office took to social media to inform the public of Shaw's capture by sharing a photo of him in the backseat of a police car. Look at the look of utter disgust and embarrassment, defeat on this guy, thinking to himself, man, why did I just try to do that? This swift resolution to what could have evolved into a more severe situation comes as a relief to the local community. The Lafayette County Sheriff's Office says Shaw will face additional charges in connection with the incident. Seemed like a good idea on paper, or at least at the time, until that idea only panned out to last for an hour. Is 1 hour worth an additional year added on to your sentence? Absolutely not. Maybe he's able to beat this charge. Could you think of any rationale that could be used as a defense for somebody in a situation like this? Personally, I cannot. Last story we got is a real goodie right here. Details released on Blair County inmate escape. Additional charges filed after recapture. Folks, this jail where this guy was housed at looks like a freaking castle, a dungeon. But let's go to Blair County, Pennsylvania. Authorities have released new details about the escape and subsequent recapture of David Ramos, an inmate at the Blair County Prison. But it's not from the prison where this guy escaped from. It was from a transport van. They say Ramos, who was being held on assault charges, was apprehended without incident last Wednesday after a brief escape. According to the Hollidaysburg Borough Police Department, officers responded to reports of an individual in an orange jumpsuit walking through town at around 5:10 p.m. with handcuffs and leg shackles on. Nothing suspicious about that at all. Can you imagine this guy trying to talk to somebody? Excuse me, sir. You wouldn't happen to have a pair of bolt cutters on you, would you? Witnesses confirmed the sighting, and Blair County Prison verified that Ramos was missing. What? Hold on. Read between the lines here. They said officers responded to reports of an individual in an orange prison jumpsuit walking through town around 5:10 p.m. with handcuffs and leg shackles. Witnesses confirmed the sighting, and Blair County Prison verified that Ramos was missing. So the public was not notified of this escape. Not until people started calling in saying, hey, there's a guy walking through town with leg shackles and restraints and an orange jumpsuit. Oh yeah, we forgot to mention we had an escape. Can you imagine being a civilian and seeing this? This has got to look like a lottery ticket walking down the street right there. Oh shit. I'm about to get me some reward money. But no, there was never any mention of no reward. Hey, what are you talking about? Authorities say he was captured about 20 minutes later in the 300 block of North Montgomery Street. They say the investigation revealed that Ramos, along with other inmates, had been transported back to the prison from Central Court. Upon arrival at the prison Sallyport, Ramos concealed himself behind the back seat of the transport van while the other inmates disembarked. How do you load up 4 prisoners in a van but only 3 get out and you don't immediately notice that one guy is missing? Buddy just laid down in the back seats and that's all it took for him to be able to get away. He then crawled through a window in the partition of the van, gaining access to the front seating area where he stole a transporting officer's cell phone and pack of cigarettes, according to the Hollidaysburg Police Department. They say Ramos returned to the back of the van and remained hidden. At around 4:40 p.m., they say the transporting officers parked the van in the county parking garage. And it was then that one officer realized his cell phone and cigarettes were missing. Reviewing camera footage, the officers discovered Ramos had been left in the van. By the time they returned to check, Ramos had already exited the van and fled. Authorities say Ramos was recaptured shortly thereafter, bringing an end to his brief escape. Thank God you didn't leave a gun up in the van. What about an additional set of handcuff keys? Those had to be in the van as well. Maybe he just couldn't find them. Ramos has been charged with escape and other related offenses, including theft. Not only do you have an escape charge that you're going to be getting now, you probably got a grand larceny or a stealing charge for that cell phone and those cigarettes. Diabolical situations taking place as of late, folks, and the biggest story still unfolding down in New Orleans. Derrick Groves and Antoine Massey, absolute escape martyrs at this point. At the time of filming this, on the run now for 4 weeks. I guess at least somebody got away, it seems like. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this video and found some interest in this. And if you did so, please leave a like and a comment letting me know exactly what you think. If you find yourself here on After Prison Show enjoying this content but not yet subscribed to this channel, please consider doing so and turning on bell notifications so that you never miss an upload from us. It would certainly be appreciated and go a long ways to helping to support this channel. As always, until next time, enjoy life, the free world, never take a moment for granted, and make the most of every day.